everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 194. Today I'm going to talk about Rialto. This is from Tasty Minstrel Games. It's a Stefan Feld game. Plays 2 to 5 players, and it's a little bit like San Marco, which is a very old game which hasn't seen reprinting, but there are a lot of elements of this that really strike me like San Marco. So if you have played that game and you like it, maybe give this one a look. I like this one a lot better than San Marco, which I don't really like, to be honest with you. But let me just show you how this one works, and then I'll come back and tell you more about what I think. Okay, I've got the game here set up for 3 players. You've got sort of your main area here of Rialto, different areas that you can see, different colors. You got sort of like a large blue section made of 3 different areas, and then sort of an orangish red area with 3 different areas there. You got some buildings here that you can purchase, a little area for holding your excess workers or councilmen. So you can see I've got a red, a white, and a blue player there. Then there's what's up here is called a Doge track. This is going to be used to break ties and some other things. Each player is also going to get a player board, and they're going to have spots to put the buildings here, spots to put any workers. You're going to start with 5 workers each player, and then you got a little spot for gold, and depending on where you are in the turn order, you're going to start with 1 or possibly more of these gold coins here. Now the main thing that you're going to be focused on in this game are these cards here. I'll talk a little bit more about these, but you're going to be getting different cards that go along with different actions, which you can see here on the player aid on the board. But basically the game is 6 rounds. It's going to focus on each of these areas. So you can see each area has a little number here, and basically this means in the first round we're going to focus on this area, and then the second round we're going to focus on this area all the way until here, number 6, where most of our actions and our purpose is going to be directed based on that area. The game normally comes with a little pawn or something. Mine didn't come with it, so I just use this little die. You don't even really need it, but I emailed the publisher and didn't get any response, which is typical, but so I'm just using this for a marker. So basically you got 3 sort of main phases of the game. So you got a first phase here where you're going to be selecting cards, then a phase where you're going to be playing all the different types of cards, then you've got sort of an end round phase. Now you've got 3 different types of buildings here. You can see you got green buildings, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's the cost. Then you've got yellow buildings and blue buildings. And so basically in the phase where you're going to be choosing these cards is when you may or may not be activating the green buildings. And then in the phase where everybody's playing cards, that's where the yellow buildings are going to come in. And then it's sort of that third phase, the end of the game, or excuse me, the end of the round, then you maybe will activate the blue buildings. So let's talk about this first phase, the green phase, and choosing cards. So off to the side of the board, you're going to have some sets of cards for players to choose. And basically in turn order, one player is going to choose a set of these cards, and then the next player will choose, and the next player will choose. So in a 3-player game, you're going to have 4 sets. So you always have the number of players plus 1 from the available set. So let's say I wanted to choose this set here. I'll take and choose it, and then I'll draw 2 cards off the top of the deck, add those into my hand. So I'll have a total of 8 cards that I have to choose from. So you always have to discard down to 7. So there are ways to get bonus cards. You may have 10 cards in your hand. So normally you have to discard down to 7, and then after everybody's chosen the set, drawn some cards possibly, then we're going to go into phase 2. We're actually going to be playing these cards. So as I said, during this phase, this is when the green buildings are going to come into play, when you're choosing the cards. So to start the game, each player is going to have one of these 1-cost buildings here. You get a choice, and depending on the number of players, it dictates how many different types people have to have. So let's say I had one of these on here in the green one. So the way these buildings work is you'll have some coins on here, hopefully, and if you want to activate the building, you take a coin and put it on the building, and then you activate it. So you can only ever have 1 coin on there, thus you can only activate a building once per turn. At the end of the turn, any coins on any of the buildings here, you're going to take and discard a coin back to the supply, and then you move on. So what this first building will do here is it lets you choose a card from the remaining face-up stack. So remember, there was +1 stack. So in a 3-player game we had 4. So you can choose one of those face-up cards out of that 4th stack that nobody chose and add it to your hand. Or you have a choice with this one here. You can do that, or draw 3 more cards off of the top of the deck blind. You still got to discard down to 7, but it gives you some more options that way. So if you take a look at the second one here, this basically has a +1, which means you can actually hold an 8th card instead of 7. and then you've got another one here like so. You can choose one off the face-up stack or draw 3, and you can hold a +1. So you can see they get a little bit better. So during this green phase, after everybody's chosen, everybody can choose to activate, one of their, or multiple of their green buildings. You can have more than one of the same building even. So if I had enough money and I had like, say all 4 green buildings, I could activate them all 4, and I'd be able to hold a ton of extra cards. So this is going to be key, especially early, to try to get these green buildings, to give yourself a lot more options throughout the game. So after phase 1, you can see here is where you draw cards and activate your green buildings. Then we're going to go to phase 2, where you can play cards and also activate your yellow buildings. And you're going to play cards in this order. So you can see here, first are the Doge cards, and those are these kind of cards. So in player order, players are going to select a certain number of Doge cards and then play them. So if I was first, maybe I'll play 1, the next player would play 2 of these, and so on. So then after we're done playing the Doge cards, then we're going to play the gold cards, the brick, the bridges, the gondolas, and then the councilman cards. And again, during this phase, when you go to play a card or multiple cards, you can activate one of your yellow buildings. Well, let's talk about what these different cards actually do. So the first type of card you're going to play are these Doge cards here, and all these do is move you up this Doge track. And this basically dictates turn order and also breaks ties. So whoever's first here is going to be able to choose cards first each round. So that's very key, because you're probably going to get the best set of cards. And then whoever's first is also going to play the first set of cards. So in this case, they're going to be the ones to play the Doge cards. And then it goes around the table. It doesn't really go in the order of the stack discs here, which you might think if it was a Feld game. But basically, it's first player, whoever's furthest up here, and then if you're both on the same, then whoever basically got there last, because you'll be on top of their disc, is considered to be first. And then again, you're going to break ties being furthest up the track. And at the end of the game, if whoever has the most points, if there's a tie, this also will break that tie, and the victor will be the person furthest up on the Doge track. So when you play Doge cards, you basically move up that many spaces. So if I played 2 and I was red, I'd move up 2 spots. And then let's say the blue guy played 4. Now you can see one of these is not a Doge card here, because this here is a wild card. This can be played with any card. So you can see it's got the little mask there, sort of a Joker kind of thing. So let's say I had played 4 and I was the blue, I would move up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say for argument the white didn't have any, so they play 0. So the thing is since the blue player played the most, they actually get a bonus. So they'd actually move up 5 spots. So you can see through all of the phases where people are playing cards, whoever played the most is always going to get a little bit of a bonus. So in this case with the Doge, you just get to move up an extra space on the track. So after everybody's played Doge cards and moved up the track, next round or next phase we're going to play gold cards. So these are the gold cards here, and these are how you acquire gold coins. So if somebody had played, 2 of these, they'd get 2 coins. If somebody had played 3, again, you can use the wild, you get 3. If they had the most, they would get an extra coin. So if you had played 3 and had played the most, you'd get a 4th coin. So after doing the coins, then you're going to do the bricks. So we're going to play bricks here. And these are going to allow you to actually build the buildings. So if we look here at the buildings here, you can see, again, here's the cost up in the upper right-hand corner. So if I had played, let's say 2 bricks, then I could build a 2-cost building here. So I could build that one. Now, if I had played the most bricks, let's say I had played the most with 2, then I would get a bonus. So I could build a 3-cost building. So I could come over here and then build this yellow building here if I had the most. So since we're talking about buildings, let me just show you what these yellow buildings do during this phase here. So this one here is interesting. So if you put a coin on this one here, you can pass your card play for that round and then play after everybody else, which is interesting because of the wild cards here. So if we take a look at one of the wilds here, there's a wild there. Maybe you're trying to figure out what phase of cards you want to hold the wild for. Do you want to play them, with the bridges, or do you want to play them with the Doges? So you can take and use this building here, put the coin on it, pass, let everybody else play, and then kind of make a mind up there. And then you also can see that you're actually going to get that coin back. So that's kind of interesting. So this next one here is also interesting. This one lets you play another card as another type. So if we were in the Doge phase, let's say, and I had this bridge that I didn't want to play during the bridge phase, I had a bunch of bridges or something. So I could play this in another phase and have it act as, that type of card. So that's kind of cool. And then you've got this one here. So if you activate this one, it basically counts as a wild or another type of the card that you're playing. And then this one down here is cool because you can play one card and have it act as 2 others of another type. So again, I could play this bridge and have it count as maybe 2 Doge cards or something. So again, you activate these as you play cards. So I'll play some cards and maybe activate a couple of these yellow buildings here. Now the other thing to keep in mind here with these buildings is you're also at the end of the game going to get points equal to their cost here. So you're going to add up all the points there, add that to your total at the end of the game. The other thing to keep in mind is you only have room for 7. So if I build a 6th and a 7th there and then built another building, then I have to replace one of them that I had already built. And the one that I replaced, maybe I want to replace this one and turn this back in. Immediately when I do that, I'm going to score that many points. So after we play the bricks and maybe have built some buildings, then we're going to take a look at the next 3 here. So we've got the bridges, the gondolas, and the councilmen. And that's when we start to deal with these areas out here on the board, which are for end game scoring. So first let's talk about the bridge action here. So you can see these little spaces here in between the areas. And again, this is the active area if we're in round 1. This is going to be the active area, so to speak, and it'll make more sense in a second. So what's going to happen is people are going to play bridges here. And basically, you're going to get points equal to the number of bridges that you play. So you're going to move your little token up down the scoring track here, and you get that many points. If you don't play any bridges, you have to lose a point. So that's why you start, you can see here, at 3 points. You maybe go backwards like that. So if you don't play any bridges, you lose a point. Not the end of the world. But you're going to get points equal to the number of bridges. Now, the bonus for the bridges is you get to draw the top bridge tile here. So you can see you've got your bridge tile and your gondola tile there. So you're going to draw that. These are all face down. You can see, okay, I've got a 5 and a 3. You're going to get to choose where to place this. So here you can place that in any of these little, clear spaces here. So I could put that here, maybe orient the 5 towards this side and the 3 to that side. Or I can take and, twist it around, put it on this side like here, put it wherever I want. So basically what you're doing here, the reason that you're going to have some choices here is whoever has the most of the little workers in these different spots at the end of the game, you're going to take and add up all of the numbers that are attached to that area, and they're going to get that many points. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So you want to be real kind of careful to put these in spots where you have the most guys or you think you'll have the most guys, and not put them where somebody else is clearly dominating. So anyway, the bonus is you get to place this wherever you want. So the next thing after the bridges is the gondolas. You're going to play gondola cards. Basically what this means is you're going to get a certain number of workers from the general supply, and then you're going to add it to your local supply or your personal supply. So basically the number of gondola cards you play is the number of guys you take out of here and put into your supply. If you run out of guys here, let's say I was totally out of guys and I still had 4 gondola cards, I could play these. I'm going to get 1 point for each guy that I can't take out of there. So if I had no guys in there, I played 4, I would get 4 points. So whoever plays the most gondola cards gets to take the top one of these little gondola tiles, and these are all the same, and these have a 1 and a 1, and these are dastardly little fellows here. So again, same with the bridge tiles, you're going to take and place this wherever you want. So you could put it there, let's say. Now the trick with this is when you place the gondola tile, you can take one of your workers from the general supply. If you don't have any here, you'll get a bonus point, and then you can actually take it from your personal supply if you're out of guys there again. But you take a guy and you put it on either side of where you placed the gondola tile. So I could place it there or over here. You can see this is one big area there, so I could take and put it here, and that's it. So whoever has the most places the gondola tile, and then one of their guys on either side of where they placed it. Finally, after the gondolas, then we're going to play the councilmen. And these are the councilman cards here. Basically what this means is we're going to keep in mind the active area here. So again, in round 1, this is the spot we're going to be. In the last round, round 6, this is the spot where we're going to be focused on. You're going to play the councilman. You're going to take guys from your personal supply and put them in here. And the amount of guys that you can put in is equal to the cards you play. So again, if the white player had played 3 of these councilman cards, they put 3 guys in there. If they had played the most, they'd get to add a bonus guy. And you have to have these guys again on your personal supply. So you get them out of this general with the gondolas, and then you put them from your personal into the board with the councilman action. Now after everybody's played councilman cards, we're going to go into phase 3, which is just a quick phase for these blue buildings here. Let's just go over these quickly. So if you activate this building, you can actually upgrade any other building. So if I had, let's say, a green 3, I activate this one with a coin, I can take and put this back, and then I can upgrade it and then make that a 4. So this is also a nice one to have early on, as you can kind of get your buildings moving along there. This one here, this one gives you a point, and then you get a guy from the general supply into your personal supply. This one will move you up the Doge track based on which place you're in. So if you're in 3rd place, you move up 3 spaces, and this one just gives you 3 points. So that's it. You're going to play 6 rounds. You're going to draw cards. You're going to try to get extra cards and hold extra cards with the green buildings. You're going to play some cards, try to, maneuver a little bit, do your yellow buildings, and then do your blue buildings. And you're going to do that 6 times. And then at the end of the game, again, you're going to get bonus points for the buildings. You're going to get points for the stuff in your supply. So if you have extra gold or extra workers in your personal supply here, you basically add up all that stuff, divide it by 2, and you get some points that way. And then you're going to go look at these different areas here. So let's zoom in a little bit on this spot here. So let's say at the end of the game, round 1, we've got some tiles put out here, like so. Let's just put these little crappy ones out here. And then, so you can see, we've got 1, 6, 9, 10. So you've got 10 points sort of locked in this tile. So whoever has the most guys here is going to get 10 points. Whoever has the second most is going to get half of that. So in this case, 5. Whoever has the third most is going to get half of that, and so on. So you're going to score all of the individual areas based on how these guys are out here in the game. Now, if there's a tie, let's say we each had 3 guys in here. Then again, you're going to take a look at that Doge track, and whoever is higher up in the Doge track is going to break that tie. So that Doge track is going to be very important. The other little bonus point you can get during the game is the first person to have 1 dude in each of the orange areas is going to get 5 points. And if that happens simultaneously, then all the players will get 5. And then if you look over there, you can see there's a 5-point bonus for all 3 of the blue areas. Okay, hope you enjoyed the overview. I feel like I didn't emphasize the Doge track enough, because the Doge track will also break ties with the cards that you play. So if we each play 2 brick cards and we're tied for the most, then whoever's highest up on the Doge card gets that bonus anyway. And then again, like the area control bonus at the end of the game, you're going to, if you're higher up in the Doge track, you're going to break the tie. So that Doge track cannot be neglected, especially towards the end of the game. You want to kind of rush up there a little bit at the end there. So this is a very, very light game. It's not super, super light. I mean, it's not like dumb or anything. But I have seen, especially with more players, 4 and probably more, where the AP of choosing those rows of cards really kind of grinds the game down. Now, I'm probably overemphasizing that. It's not a huge grind down. It's really going to depend on your group. Played with a couple different groups. One group agonizes a little bit more than the other. But that can, if you have AP folks in your group, let's say, it sucks me in, because you've got a lot of choices. Depending on how those cards are dealt out, you kind of always need to do a little bit of everything, kind of depending on how the situation's out. So you want to get a lot of councilmen out because you want to, put a whole bunch of dudes in there in this whatever area you're on. But you need gold too to activate those buildings, and activating those buildings cannot be undersold as well, because they're just going to enhance and increase all the stuff that you can do, especially the green ones, is getting all those extra cards, even holding those extra cards to, have that much more hand strength than the other guys. So the AP of all that, and I'm totally underselling, I seem to have a theme of overselling, I'm underselling all those choices that are going to be available, because you may have like 2 stacks, one with a lot of gondolas and one with a lot of bridges, and you like, which one do I want to do? I'm not sure. If I do this one, Billy's going to take that one. He's going to put a crappy gondola on my spot. And I've seen games where people kind of go after an area and they kind of neglect the gondolas, and they're surrounded all by 1s. It's like, hey, congratulations for your 4 points. That's not going to really do a lot of good. So all of that choice is all crammed into that selection of cards. Once you get into the playing of cards, there is some choice there, but that goes a little bit more automatic, which I think is a good thing, because if you had way heavy sort of AP throughout the whole thing, it probably wouldn't be very fun. But once you get into the cards, you kind of go, okay, I'm going to dominate 1 or 2 of these things this turn, but the choice really comes in with the card play again with those wilds. It's like, where do I use my wilds? I know nobody else really got any gold coins, so maybe I'm okay playing just 2 gold cards and then holding my wild back to move up the Doge track or build buildings or something like that. So it's nice. It definitely is playable in an hour. Probably with 5, you're going to go a little bit longer, but again, it just depends on the group. So I'd say probably my favorite, I haven't played it with 2, but my favorite is probably 3, 4. 3 or 4 is fine. Just depends on the group. Now there is a alternate rules for 2. You can basically play it in the normal rules that I showed you with 2, or you can do a little bit of alternate rules. I did read through those pretty carefully, and I think you could probably play either way. Just kind of whatever you feel like. You can do one or the other. Just try it out yourself. But they're not the 2-player variant rules are not super confining. There's kind of a dummy player, but it's super basic and simple. And I think as you play it more, if you're just playing, 2 players, Andy, then you probably will want to do that dummy player because it'll add a lot more, contesting, for the different areas and cards and stuff on the board. So yeah, it's probably one of the lightest Felds out there. It feels lighter than Spikerstadt for sure. That's kind of the other one where I think this kind of the weight of it gets right into. I mean, he's got like a kid's game and stuff, obviously, that he made. That I'm not counting that. But of his games, this is probably the lightest. His lightest, heaviest, mediumist. His lightest of those. All right, so but yeah, I do recommend it, and it's fun, and it's very straightforward, and the crux of the game is going to be that card choice, especially those last 2 rounds. But it does play very quickly, initially in the game. So if this looks like something you'd want to try, then I would definitely take a look at it. And it doesn't feel very Feldy. Like I said, it does remind me of San Marco, where in San Marco you had to like divide up choices yourself. It was kind of like piece of cake, where you got a bunch of cards and then one guy divided them up and everybody else chose them. In this, it kind of does that for you. And then there's an actual game on top of that. In San Marco, that kind of like was the game, and then you just kind of did whatever the person divided based on what you got. This one has the buildings and the extra stuff and the placement of the points instead of just regular bridges and things like that. So this is kind of like, to me, San Marco 2.0, but this one's actually enjoyable. So anyway, that's Rialto. Thanks.